One of the common questions among PMP aspirants is, should I follow the PMBOK Guide 6th edition for PMP exam preparation, or should I use the latest PMBOK Guide 7th edition? Which should I use? Or should I use both for studying for the exam? This is a very common question among candidates. And if you look at the PMI website, you may not quickly find out the answer to this question. So in this video, I will try to give you the answer, and I will also give you some references from the PMI website so that you know the information comes from authentic sources. Come, let's look at the PMI website. Right now we are on the PMI website, and you can see here there is something called PMP Exam Reference List. Now, what is this reference list? Basically, these are the references given by PMI which will be useful in the PMP exam preparation. Now, it's not just one book. Like earlier exams, we used to just refer PMBOK Guide as the main reference, right? Even though we used to use few other reference books, predominantly people will be happy as long as they go through the PMBOK Guide thoroughly. But even PMI now wants to move away the exam from purely dependent on PMBOK Guide. Okay, so you need to take note that the exam is not based on the PMBOK Guide. Now you may ask, then what is it based on? I will show you that. But before that, let's look at the reference books. Okay, so you can see here there are many reference books given by PMI. For example, Project Management, a Systems Approach to Planning, Scheduling and Controlling by Harold Kersner. This is one of the very popular books for project management. That's one of the reference books for the PMP exam now. Fundamentals of Technology Project Management by Colleen and Erika. That's another reference book. Information Technology Project Management by Kathy. That's another reference book. Project Management, the Managerial Process by Eric Larson, that is another reference. And also you can see here the Agile Practice Guide, which is actually published by PMI. So this is one of the important references which you can get from PMI. And also they have a guide to the project management body of knowledge, that is the PMBOK Guide, as one of the references. It's not the only reference, it's one of the references. Okay. And then there are other books like Effective Project Management, Traditional Agile, Extreme Hybrid by Robert Wysocki, Project Manager's Portable Handbook, Essential Scrum, the Project Management Toolkit. All these are references for you to prepare for the PMP exam. So it's not purely based on the PMBOK Guide. Okay, you can see here, the exam is based on the PMP certification exam content outline. Okay, I will show you what is exam content outline, not the PMBOK Guide. Okay, please take note of this point. The exam is based on the ECO, that is the exam content outline, not on the PMBOK Guide. A guide to the project management body of knowledge, PMBOK Guide 7th edition, will now be a reference to inform the development of the exam items. Okay, 7th edition is one of the references, but it's not the only reference. Now let's look at this exam content outline. You can download it for free from the PMI website. I have already downloaded it. So this is the exam content outline. The exam is actually based on this book, right? Now look at this. This is January 2021 edition. So make sure that you are referring to January 2021 edition for the latest exam content outline. Now, if you go through this, there are certain things. Okay, you can look at the introduction. Okay, I don't want to go through the introduction. The important part is this, right? Earlier, we used to have 5 domains under which you will be tested. Now, based on the new exam content outline, you will be tested only on 3 domains. What are the 3 domains? People, process and business environment. Now people has 42% weightage. This is a complete move from the previous exam. The process is 50% weightage. If you are studying based on the PMBOK Guide 6th edition, you will have a lot of references to process and of course some references to people, but predominantly the process you can look at the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. The business environment, which is almost a new topic for the new exam content outline has 8% weightage. Now you also need to take note, the new exam is not just testing one kind of project management approach. It tests predictive, agile, and hybrid. Okay, almost like you will get 50% of the questions from predictive environment and almost like 50% of the questions from agile or hybrid. So you cannot skip agile. If you don't have enough experience in agile, please go through agile, right? And anyone taking the PMP exam now cannot claim that I'm only an expert in one of the project management approaches. You should be an expert in all the approaches, including hybrid, right? And the most important part for the exam preparation is this, right? For example, here, domain 1, people 42%. And within that domain, you can see various tasks. So look at each task, you'll be tested on the tasks. For example, conflict management is one of the tasks. So you need to understand what is conflict management, what are the sources of conflict, how do you resolve conflict, which is the suitable conflict resolution technique given a situation, right? All those you need to understand from the conflict management task. Similarly, leading a team is another task. Now you need to understand, when you talk about leading a team, you need to understand what is servant leadership. You need to understand what are the appropriate leadership styles. How do you motivate team members, right? How do you analyze and understand the influence of the team members and stakeholders, right? All these are something you need to look at. Task 3 is support team performance, empower team members, right? Training for team members. So when we talk about training, you need to understand the various types of trainings available, why you need a training, how do you identify the training needs, right? What are the steps involved generally if you are organizing a training, when the training should be organized, right? All these are something you need to understand. Building a team, understanding impediments, obstacles, and blockers. How do you negotiate? A collaboration, a shared understanding. How do you come with a shared understanding among the team members or maybe the stakeholders, right? Virtual teams. Again, virtual teams is a very important concept now. You need to understand what are the advantages and disadvantages of virtual teams. What is ground rules, mentoring stakeholders, promoting team performance through emotional intelligence, right? What is emotional intelligence? So within the people domain, you can see that there are 14 tasks. You will be tested on these 14 tasks. So when you are preparing for the exam, look at this. This is a kind of blueprint. And then based on these, you can take any reference book. It could be 6th edition, it could be 7th edition, it could be any reference books, and you can prepare based on these topics. If you prepare according to these topics, you will be ready for the exam, right? These are people domain. Similarly, there are process domain. Process domain will have a lot of commonality based on the previous exam. For example, communication management, risk management, stakeholder management, cost management, resource management, schedule management, right? Here you can see that a lot of these things are very similar to the previous exam. Quality management, scope management, right? Here you will see what is WBS, how do you monitor scope, how do you validate scope, how do you control scope, what is goal plating, what is scope creep, right? All these are something you need to understand. Integration, again, integration is a very important topic you need to understand. Change management, again, a very, very favorite topic for PMI. It used to be a very favorite topic. I'm not sure how the exam questions are currently, but certainly change management is something you need to understand from the perspective of good project management. Procurement management knowledge area, artifacts, right? A lot of these, right? Issues management. So you need to understand what is issue, what is a risk, when a risk becomes an issue, right? You need to understand the differences between issue management and risk management. Knowledge transfer, again, knowledge management is something that is covered even in PMBOK 6th edition. Closure of the project or closure of the phase, right? These are the 17 tasks that come under the process. So you need to be thorough with each of this. You need to understand what happens in each of this. You may not need to go through the ITTOs. That's not so important. You may need to know the deliverables in a way, the outputs to a certain extent you need to understand. You need to understand the various tools and techniques, but you do not need to memorize the ITTOs, right? You do not need to know what are the inputs. But as a flow, even when I used to do training based on the PMBOK 6th edition, I always used to tell candidates, don't memorize ITTOs, but try to understand the flow. Okay. So understanding the flow, the connections between the various knowledge areas, how they are all integrated, it becomes very important, right? Then the last domain is business environment, which has a lesser weightage, but it doesn't mean you need to give less importance to this, right? You need to also go through this. For example, compliance, right? What is compliance? You need to understand. And when we talk about compliance, depending on the industry you work, there will be different kind of compliances. For example, if you work in a construction industry, there could be a lot of compliances related to health and safety. If you work in some other industry, for example, if you are in a food industry, there may be a lot of requirements related to regulatory compliances. So it becomes very important for you to understand the compliances, and you can relate it to your own industry. If you are from the IT background, then probably you can look at information security could be one of the compliances, right? Compliances, what is benefit, what is value, how do you generate early value for your customer, how internal and external factors affect the project. Then again, change management, how organizational changes affect project, right? Earlier we saw change management within the project. This is more about the organizational change that affects the project. So those are the important concepts you need to understand. There are 3 domains. The 3 domains, there are various tasks, and each task you should be familiar. And based on these tasks, you try to prepare for the exam. Don't worry whether you are preparing on 6th edition or 7th edition. You should prepare based on the PMP exam content outline, and you can use any of the reference books that are given by PMI. Thank you. I hope that clarifies. Bye-bye.